Right. Hello, everyone. Hi. Stop talking, please. Thank you. Or talk quietly, at least. So this is about how to run a conference. I'm not really going to talk about the content side of things, just the organizational side, because obviously you guys are not going to be running a conference about how to make languages. You're going to be running a conference on, I don't know, sex and technology or something else.
Memetics.
I have no idea what. Memetics, sure. The second thing is this isn't like a con, like TourCon or CCC. Those have other things that they have to care about. This is for a relatively academic style of conference where you have talks and that's mostly, and you have sort of social stuff around it, but it's not like centered on selling stuff. Anyway, come on, events. Oh, yeah. So, yes, you can do it. When I started out, I was, I think, a junior in Berkeley, or a senior, and basically everyone told me that, no, you can't do it because you're not a prof, and, you know, how are you going to get speakers, and blah, 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 fuck them. You announce, you say you're going to do it, you follow through, and shit happens. You do have to be specific about what you want, and you do have to ask specifically for what you need. If you just put a word out and say, hey, who's going to help me run this conference? And no one's really going to answer. If you say, hey, who wants to talk? That's different. But you basically have to approach specific people to do specific tasks. And you guys, if you're running a conference for hackers, might find this a little bit easier. My group of people really aren't all that self-starting for doing stuff like that. So hopefully you'll have a little easier of a time with it. So basically you need one, maybe two people to lead the organization. The first time I did it, it was basically all me. The second time I split it 50-50 with Alex, who's actually now my boyfriend. And the third time I split it with a guy named David Durand, who I hadn't actually met until the first day of the conference. The front-end organizer basically needs to get people there and figure out what's happening. They also need to be the person who says on the spot what any random decision. So like speakers need to be placed in some place, someone needs to get a mic, blah, blah, blah. Basically, that's you. Backend needs to do all that other stuff, and the key thing really is you can volunteer people. If you need something moved, you just say, hey, you move that speaker, and it works most of the time. Obviously, you want to do this politely. There's two things that are pretty important. You do want a speaker timer. This laptop is important, or someone holding up a giant sign. And gophers and audio tech are definitely people you want to be independent, and you just say, hey, you set up the audio, and I'm going to ignore you. And you figure out people you need to recruit. These are the talk formats that we figured out after 3 rounds. The first round, we only had 1-hour talks, and frankly, that didn't really work well. So this is what I suggest for any academic conference. You have full talks, which are about 40 minutes, plus Q&A and blah, 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 but 40 minutes nominally. You have mini talks where people don't ramble for quite as long, and they just get one point out. And you can make this lightning talks instead if you want, but that's a different format. And you have posters. Supposedly posters don't take any time, but really you want to have time to show them off and stuff. So, budget for it. Speaking of budget, this is approximately, the numbers don't quite add up, and that's because I've rounded, but this is about how much it costs to run a conference. Basically, it's about $3,000 for a 2-day conference. This is if you're cutting corners and getting stuff for free, getting stuff donated. It's not like a fancy schmancy sort of deal. This is like Noisebridge, 5 minutes of fame kind of deal. But it works really well, frankly. That's something that you're welcome to copy later. If you ask for funding, they'll always say, so what's your budget? And if you've never done it before, you'll say, and you just have to pull something out of your ass. Instead of doing so, just copy my stuff. this is all the stuff you're going to need. Laptops, you always want at least one extra, because one of them fucks up. Have one extra of pretty much everything, because stuff breaks, and you really don't want to be in a situation where stuff breaks. Food is pretty simple. What I did when I was in Berkeley is I ordered lunch from Smart Alex, which was a nice restaurant that's just down the street. But basically, you just bulk order, you call it in, and you say, hey, we want to order food for 40 people. Can you have it to us? And you want to do this a couple weeks in advance. They give you a good deal. So the things to remember are never block. That's really important. If someone fucks up, and they will, you don't want to be stuck in a bad situation. So no matter who you trust or don't trust or what they're doing, you want to make sure that you have a plan B so it's going to work out even if they fuck up. PDF copies of slides, like the ones that I just used as my plan B because the other ones kind of messed up, are always good. And you want to budget for stuff. So people go over time. You go over budget, you forget to buy enough mini DVD tapes or whatever, you need to send someone down to the store to get them. Budget for that shit and you won't be caught as bad. And delegation and lying are very important to any organization. Delegation means you do not run around and try to do everything. You're there to help make sure everything gets done. That means you need to say, okay, you do this, and you need to check, hey, did you do this? And if you didn't, you assign someone else, or you do it yourself, or whatever. And lying is important because everything has slop, and if you don't lie, then people will do it to your actual limits instead of to the margin below your actual limits where you're still comfortable. So that's basically it. If you want to learn more, there's a pretty detailed write-up of what I did for the first conference online, or you could just talk to me. Thank you very much.